Caitlin Clark does return to the floor. How is she going to help elevate this team even more down the stretch of the season?
Well, she demands so much gravity on the defensive end of the floor. She's constantly seeing multiple players, and she makes the right reads and makes the right plays for our group. So she's going to continue to allow us to stretch the floor. We're going to be able to, I think everybody else will be able to get more higher percentage looks because of what she demands on the defensive end of the floor. And she brings our own defensive versatility because of her length, because of her size. So we'll certainly look different. I think we'll be that much more dangerous on offense in particular.
Stephanie White's latest interview with ESPN has sent shockwaves through the basketball world, and her tone of uncertainty about Caitlin Clark's role suggests this situation is more serious than anyone wants to admit.
Right? Stephanie White, do not put Ari and Kelsey and Caitlin on the floor at the same time. Please don't do it. Please don't do it, man. Please. All right? That lineup made no sense at all. All right? Why would you do that? Why would you do that, Stephanie White? All right, now.
In a Monday appearance on ESPN's NBA Today, Stephanie White provided another update that left fans more frustrated than informed. Instead of giving the clarity that Fever Nation desperately wanted about Clark's return timeline, White dropped a bombshell that has the fan base up in arms. She didn't just fail to provide specifics about when Clark would be back, she completely shifted the narrative about how the superstar would be used upon her return.
And we've got Stephanie White praising Caitlin Clark. Did hell freeze over somewhere I don't know about? I don't know. We'll see. But she actually made some very nice comments, I guess, about Caitlin Clark today. She was on with ESPN.
Yeah, I mean, it's day to day right now. We're really just putting no timetable on it, going through the rehab process, and then we want to reintegrate her from a strength and conditioning standpoint and then get her back to basketball activities, White said. But it was what came next that truly set off the alarm bells for Fever fans who have watched their franchise player be mismanaged all season long.
Thankfully, she went on ESPN and didn't use the phrase blessing in disguise. Like, I mean this when I say this. Like, I've said this about Stephanie White plenty of times. I actually think Stephanie White's a hell of a coach. So many people are like, oh, you've done nothing but criticize Stephanie White. I think she's got flaws. I think her rotations are iffy. I think her game plans are good. I think her defense is good. And I think her ability to get a team together is pretty good. I think she likes to play a bit slow, but she is very good. What Stephanie White is really good at is making players and teams play better than they should.
If you are enjoying, please subscribe. White revealed that when Clark returns, she'll be playing in a different role, one that takes her away from what made her the most dominant force in women's basketball history. I think it could be really good for us to get Clark off the ball a little bit more in certain situations, White explained. Playing on the wing provides her that opportunity, allowing us to give her a breather and present our team with varied looks.
In everything that we do, for us, moving her off the ball a little bit more so she's not getting worn out in game, just handling the ball 94 feet. And then we're challenging her on the defensive end of the floor as well, like being a better defender. The best for us as an opponent, you want to attack a good offensive player by making him play on the defensive end, putting him through the ringer. So being a better defender.
This is Stephanie White at it again, trying to turn the generational talent that is Caitlin Clark into just another cog in her precious system. What White fails to understand, what she has consistently failed to understand throughout this disastrous season, is that Caitlin Clark isn't supposed to be a player in a system. She is the system.
In 5 with Caitlin. At the end of the day, no matter how many games they win, they lost more games without Caitlin Clark playing. So everybody argument that Caitlin Clark is the Achilles heel, Caitlin Clark is this and that, your argument is obsolete, bro. They will forever have that notion on there, that blemish on there. Now, if they would have won more games, lost less, then you might have had something. But by them losing 7 damn games without Caitlin Clark playing lets us know that, they need Caitlin Clark.
When you have the NCAA Division I all-time leading scorer, a player who single-handedly revolutionized women's basketball and brought unprecedented attention to the sport, you don't try to fit her into your Connecticut Sun-style slow ball offense. You build everything around her unique talents. But White, stubbornly clinging to the same philosophy that made the Sun one of the lowest scoring teams in the WNBA last season, continues to try to squeeze Clark into a role that diminishes her impact. The numbers don't lie about the damage this approach has already inflicted. Clark has been limited to just 13 games this season due to a series of soft tissue injuries. When she has managed to get on the court, she's been a shell of the player who took college basketball by storm. Her field goal percentage has dropped to 36.7%, and her three-point shooting has plummeted to a concerning 27.9%. On the road, where the physical play intensifies, she's shooting just 2 of 35 from downtown.
On the entire league. Remember, she literally added like nearly 3 points a game to her average. She was setting records for assist. Now, that's with Christy Sides having understood the job and just letting Caitlin Clark go wild. That's why I won't buy into the Fever. She's got to greatly alter her game for the Fever to get much better. No, she came back last year. She went scorched earth, and they were beating nearly everybody.
White's obsession with managing Clark's minutes and role has been nothing short of catastrophic. While other coaches understand that generational talents need the freedom to play their natural game, White has consistently tried to put training wheels on a Ferrari. The result? Clark has missed more games due to injury in her sophomore season than she missed in her entire college career. I don't anticipate a certain level. I'm not a huge fan of minutes restrictions. I think they're silly, Clark herself said earlier this season when asked about playing time limitations. I told them, I don't want to come back unless I'm 100%. Why would I be out there to play 20 minutes? Yet here we are, with White continuing to treat the league's biggest star like she's made of glass. White's supposed careful management has resulted in Clark being injured more frequently than when she was playing 35-plus minutes per game in college, carrying Iowa to back-to-back national championship games. The soft tissue injuries keep piling up precisely because Clark isn't being allowed to play in the rhythm and flow that her body is accustomed to.
I know she wants to be out here on the floor, and we want her out here on the floor, but making sure that she's ready is the most important thing. I still don't know how far we are. We're going to take it one step at a time, one day at a time, and go from there.
Perhaps the most frustrating aspect of White's approach is her insistence on playing Clark off the ball. This isn't just a minor tactical adjustment, it's a fundamental misunderstanding of what makes Clark special. When she's controlling the offense, everything clicks. The ball moves, points are scored, and her teammates get better looks because of the attention she commands. That's what I'm best at, Clark said when asked about potentially playing more off the ball. Her body language during press conferences when discussing this topic tells the whole story. She's clearly frustrated with being asked to play a role that doesn't suit her strengths. The results speak for themselves. In Clark's limited appearances this season, particularly when she's been relegated to an off-ball role, the Fever's offense has looked disjointed and lifeless. During her return game against the Golden State Valkyries, playing in White's new system, Clark managed just 10 points on 4 of 12 shooting, one of her worst performances of the season.
Ari McDonald, all she care about is putting the ball in the hoop. Everybody want to score. That's it. Y'all can barely look. Y'all had 17 assists against the Aces the other night. Y'all can't even put up 20 assists a game. That's sad. That's pathetic. Y'all don't be getting Sophie the ball when she open. You know what I'm saying? She be playing defense and everything, and Lexi Hull. Y'all need to reward those girls. They working hard, bro. Those are some hard-working women at the end of the day. You hear me? That's crazy.
What makes this situation even more infuriating is the physical punishment Clark has endured while White's system has failed to protect her. The statistics are staggering. 17% of all flagrant fouls in the WNBA this season have been committed against Clark. When 80% of those fouls come from a single team, the Chicago Sky, it stops being coincidence and starts being a pattern. The physical toll has been building since the season's opening games. From Kennedy Carter's blindside body check to the systematic targeting by various teams, Clark has absorbed punishment that would have ended careers in previous eras. What makes this situation even more maddening is that the players responsible for these actions remain largely unpunished in any meaningful way. Marina Mabre, who delivered a devastating body check after Clark had already been poked in the eye, received nothing more than a technical foul that was later upgraded to a flagrant. She faced no suspension, no meaningful consequences, just a fine and the freedom to continue targeting the league's most valuable player. Yet White's response has been to further limit Clark's role rather than demand better protection from officials.
All of y'all who said we were exaggerating, Caitlin Clark's not getting fouled, bruh, it's to the point where we have this going on.
The most damaging aspect of White's coaching philosophy isn't just the tactical mistakes, it's the way it's crushing Clark's spirit and effectiveness. This is a player who thrived under pressure at Iowa, who elevated her game in the biggest moments, who made her teammates better simply by being on the court in her natural role. Instead, White wants Clark to come back into the team and work within a system that clearly doesn't maximize her talents. She talks about reintegrating Clark from a strength and conditioning standpoint as if she's some role player returning from a long-term injury, not the face of the franchise and the most talented player in the league. The comparison to other legendary point guards is instructive. Can you imagine Magic Johnson being told to play off the ball because the coach wanted to give him a breather? Or John Stockton being asked to stand in the corner while someone else ran the offense? It's absurd, yet that's exactly what White is proposing for a player who should be having the ball in her hands as much as possible.
Listen to this.
Yeah, I mean, we have updates and our recovery's going well. It's just, I think for us staying the course and making sure that we're really diligent about each step that we take and that we don't have setbacks and that we're patient with it. I know she wants to be out here on the floor and we want her out here on the floor, but making sure that she's ready is the most important thing. I still don't know how far we are. We're going to take it one step at a time, one day at a time, and go from there.
Fever fans have had enough. Social media has exploded with criticism of White's handling of Clark, with many calling for a coaching change. Stephanie White needs to stop this game plan and let CC run the show, wrote one frustrated fan. Never seen CC look this down and dejected. White has done her job and broken CC, added another. The frustration is understandable. Fans aren't tuning in to watch White's Connecticut Sun-style grinded-out offense. They want to see Clark do what she does best, create magic with the ball in her hands, make impossible shots, and elevate everyone around her. Instead, they're getting a watered-down version of a generational talent being asked to play within constraints that diminish her impact. We just want to watch Caitlin play like she did last season and the years before that, one fan perfectly summarized. If they lose, they lose. But no one wants to watch this system of basketball where she's relegated to standing in the corner.
I think the obvious issue is Stephanie White is so stubborn to fit a circle in a square peg instead of utilizing the strengths of the team. And she probably felt relief because Caitlin Clark was hurt that, this is my time. I could introduce the culture and the system. And some actually bought in. And then when Caitlin Clark comes back, she doesn't know how to use her.
What makes White's approach even more puzzling is the championship window that's being wasted. The Fever have talented players around Clark, Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, and others who can contribute at a high level. But instead of building an offense that maximizes everyone's strengths with Clark as the focal point, White continues to try to implement a system that worked in Connecticut with completely different personnel. The Fever went 20-20 last season and made the playoffs for the first time since 2016. That was with Christy Sides, who had her flaws, but at least understood that Clark needed to be the centerpiece of everything they did. Now, with higher expectations and a more talented roster, White seems determined to prove that her system is more important than her players. As Clark continues her recovery and White talks about reintegrating her into this flawed system, the question becomes whether the Fever organization will continue to enable this coaching malpractice. The fan frustration is real and growing. The results on the court speak for themselves, and most importantly, Clark herself seems increasingly frustrated with being asked to play a role that doesn't suit her strengths. The solution is simple. Let Caitlin Clark be Caitlin Clark. Give her the ball, surround her with players who can complement her skills, and get out of the way. Build the system around the player, not the other way around. Every great coach in basketball history has understood this fundamental principle when dealing with transcendent talent.
Stephanie Jigsaw White. Let me tell you something. Y'all do not move the ball better without my Caitlin Clark, aka my precious CC. At the end of the day, y'all have only won 4 games and recorded 4 games where y'all had 20 assists as a team at the end of the day. Caitlin Clark, aka my precious Cece, she averages 7 to 9 assists a game. You hear me? Because she moves the ball and get everybody open, because everybody and their mama and their grandma be double teaming and triple teaming her, and her team is lazy when it comes to setting screens for her. Maybe she wouldn't be injured.
Stephanie White's latest comments about Clark's new role represent more than just tactical adjustments. They represent a fundamental misunderstanding of how to maximize generational talent. Until that changes, until the Fever commit to building around their franchise player rather than forcing her into an ill-fitting system, both Clark and the organization will continue to underachieve. The clock is ticking on Clark's prime years, and every game spent trying to make her fit into White's Connecticut Sun playbook is a game wasted. Fever fans deserve better. Caitlin Clark deserves better. And if White can't or won't adapt her philosophy to maximize the talents of the most gifted player in women's basketball, then perhaps it's time for the organization to find someone who will. The hope is that when Clark returns from this latest injury setback, she can overcome all this adversity and show once again why she's the star this league needs. But for that to happen, she needs to be unleashed, not constrained. She needs to be the system, not just another player in it. Until White understands that fundamental truth, the Fever will continue to waste the incredible talent they have in their hands.